accommodate student.
I have to smile from the camera. Listen, good evening, everyone. My name is Hilda Merwis. This is the Friends of Liberty Republican Club. Sometimes, believe it or not, we fill up the space. And the reason this is set up this way, just for your information, this is a synagogue. And so there are several, what's the translation for me?
Services.
Perfect. Several services. This is one, they have, I think, 4 going on in this building, believe it or not, during season. Otherwise, you'd see tables. In any event, welcome everyone. We have a very wonderful and special speaker. I hope he thinks he's special.
Of course.
Well, he has to think also, because we think he's special. But before we do anything, we do what we always do, and that is, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And our fella is back. John Fisher. Yay. Our patriot. And I'll talk about him afterwards. I'll explain why I'm so excited to see him. Sir?
Thank you, Hilda. I'm the fellow. Will you please join us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Hilda.
Are you ready, Shmuel? We have a lot of Sidorim.
Oh, yeah.
All right, maybe you'll do it at the end.
Yeah, all right.
All righty.
Anyway, Hilda gets a mazel tov for being an honoree at the dinner for Torah on Sunday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. And we have a very large crowd, and this room is going to be the dinner area. So there'll be tables, not chairs. So it's quite exciting and a wonderful. Well, I need to say something about this shul, this synagogue. They are our hosts, and they're making it possible for us to have our meetings here and accommodating us in every way. I just called one of the members. I said, we don't have the microphones. He ran from home. Home happens to be in Century Village, but he ran from home to accommodate us. The custodian who works here, he is so fabulous. He thinks of everything, and he helps us so much in preparation or whatever. Now, last month, were you at our event last month? We were celebrating not just the holiday, as you can imagine. It was fabulous. It was really, really wonderful, a wonderful evening. So I'm pleased to see all of you. I'm pleased to get to know you, but don't depend on it. Because you can tell me your name 1 minute, and the next, it didn't used to be that way. So you're going to help me out, I hope. Welcome, Bill.
Good to be here.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
No, nobody's late when they come to our event. You're always on time, not to worry about that. We try to be casual and friendly.
Good to be here.
We have to be. And so, before we begin with our very special speaker, I want to acknowledge John Fisher. Come up here, please.
Yeah.
He's my champion. And I'll tell you why. That, okay, I'm a Jewish woman. Watch it. Where were you on Inauguration Day?
I was in Washington, D.C. Capital One Arena.
What were you doing in the Capital One Arena?
Playing the bagpipes and watching.
I saw a clip of it. How wonderful. The reception was amazing. They were so excited. I mean, bagpipes, you know,
I heard the bagpipes.
just to be able to do that is a talent, it's a skill. Run, well, you weren't running, you were parading with that whole group. How marvelous to see that. I was watching the inauguration all day. However, I don't know where that was being shown. I must have missed it. So I was very fortunate. I don't know whether it was Jan or who sent it to me, but it was so exciting to relive that vicariously. It was just fabulous to see you doing that. You could say two.
It was such an honor. When I put the application in, we were among, first of all, hundreds of other bands and organizations throughout the country had submitted applications. They whittled it down to 52. Okay, so we were one of the 52. Then when the weather was so bad that they moved it into the arena, they cut the 52 down to 7. So we now want to stop.
Isn't that amazing?
So there's so much that I put into the application. Our band, we've been over to Europe for the 75th and 80th anniversary of D-Day. We've been to Belgium, Luxembourg, and France. And we did all of that. We've been to Pearl Harbor, put all that in there. And then I had 7 letters of references from Brian Mast, Congressman Brian Mast, 5 or 6 state representatives. Meg Weinberger was one of them that wrote a letter for us. So that carried some weight as well.
You mean you didn't include my...
Yes, you were in there also, as well as Mayor Tom Carney from Delray Beach, yes.
We gave a proclamation when we recommended his election. We supported him to be elected. All right, there's always another time. Ask Julia.
Yeah, the parade governing body replied back, "You know Hilda?" I said, "Yes, I do." The last thing I'll leave you with, the tunes, this is another, I think, reason why we were selected. They asked, what songs do you plan on playing while you pass by the review stand? Okay, and I put America the Beautiful and God Bless America. Okay, yeah. And the beauty of that is, in that I've done it before, and any audience, I know that when I'm going to play those 2 tunes, the audience is going to sing along. Yeah, 20,000 people in that arena singing America the Beautiful and God Bless America. I mean, I get rolled up, I get choked up but to hear it, and we were all like, wow, so great experience, and thank you, Hilda, for bringing it up.
What a treat to have you here and to tell us. It's almost a vicarious for me an experience knowing I know someone who was there. Isn't that something? In any event, I'm going to turn to, yes ma'am, and she's going to introduce our next speaker, our only speaker tonight.
Good evening, I'm Anna McArdle. I'm Vice President of Membership, and I'm very glad that you're all here. Tonight we have the Vice Chair of the Republican Executive Committee speaking to us, Jason Cole. He is a former police officer and a business owner, and pleasant to look at. Pardon? And a veteran. So, Jason.
Thank you. Hoorah! Hoorah!
Thank you very much. Yes, I am. First off, I want to thank Anna and Hilda for having me. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces in the room. James, Donna, Bill, John, Jen, and me and Bill were door knocking for Tom Turkin this weekend together, so we were already out there working. But I was also here, I don't know if you remember, but I was also here, I don't even remember exactly what month it was, but I was running for state committee man back in the August election, and Joe LaFauci and I were running against each other, and he won, and he and I are getting along great. And so that's one thing that everybody can feel comfortable about is the new board that's running the Palm Beach County Republican Executive Committee. Everybody's getting along very well. So we all, obviously we're going to have our differences. We're all human beings, and you're never going to get past that. But we're getting along well, and we're working towards a common goal of really just making the executive committee larger, and running more like a well-oiled machine. And that's going to take some time. If anybody's ever read the book From Good to Great, it's about turning a company from something that's good to something great, and it's just all about small changes, just turning the gears very slowly, one at a time, not trying to make anything major, drastic changes. So I think our whole team really gets that for the most part, and we're all working towards that. So I just made some notes of some stuff, and then if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or blurt it out, whatever. So we had an election of new officers on December 11th, and we elected a new chairman, a new vice chairman, a new secretary, and Jane Pike, who's the treasurer, remained in place. And then we obviously had Joe LaFauci and Jody Schwartz, who were appointed in December but elected back in August for state committee man and state committee woman. So we basically have an entire new board, except for Jane, which I'm just going to say thank God, because she knows so much. She's been in that position for so very long and knows all the ins and outs. And we do rely on her quite a bit on some stuff. So it's always nice to have somebody that has been around for a long time, and you can lean on them and ask them questions. And sometimes when you do stuff without asking them questions, they kind of give you the guidance on what we used to do and that sort of thing. So we've got some lofty goals. So one of our main goals of the year is we'd like to raise over $1 million this year. And we did about that gross last year with Lincoln Day, a little less than that. But it was the only fundraiser that we had. So one of the things we want to do is we want to raise $1 million, and we want to use these funds to set the Republican Executive Committee up to run a little bit more professionally. We want to have actually paid staff, more paid staff in the office. We'd like to hire an executive director. So when we get into 2026, we've got a fully operational organization that can hit the ground running for this, statewide campaigns and countywide campaigns. We do have the municipal elections right now, and we're doing what we can to help these candidates. Like I said, we were out door knocking for Tom. I just came from a fundraiser for a gentleman running for city commission in Lake Worth. He's an NPA, but he's running against 2 Democrats. And he has come to the REC, and he's a really good guy, and he's somebody that I think Lake Worth could use. So we're doing what we can there. A few other things we'd like to do is we'd like to professionalize our systems, our website, sign in at meetings, have text and email campaigns to help grow the REC and to help inform the members and community members. One of the main things we want to do is we want to grow the REC to double it in size. Right now, and I don't know the exact numbers on everything, but right now we have about 250 members. I think we dropped down to about 242 recently due to some resignations, but we've had some people join. And just to give you an idea of how big the potential it can be, is there's about almost 900 precincts in Palm Beach County, Florida. And so per precinct, you're looking at least 2 members that can be a precinct committee mayor and committee woman. So theoretically, you could have an REC of 1,800 people if you maxed it out. So we're at 255, so we've got work to do. So it's not the easiest thing to recruit people to do it, because it's like a little bit like a job. I mean, it's volunteer work. You've got to be real serious about what's going on politically with elections, getting out the vote, whatever. But you don't have to do certain things you don't want to do. You can be involved in a certain way that you feel you're going to bring your strengths to the table. So what we've got to do is we've got to get members in, and then we've got to treat them like we want to keep them, treat them like they're important, understand and appreciate their strengths so they don't leave. And so that's one of our main focuses is growing and maintaining a much larger REC. And so if we have a much larger group, we kind of need more funds to make the whole thing operate a little bit more smoothly. And then the one big goal that Carl has, and I think it's a great one, is we want to have registered Republicans outnumber the registered Democrats in Palm Beach County in the next 2 years. Is that kind of cut in and out a little bit? All right. So yeah, so that's another thing that we really want to do. I know Carl is putting his committee infrastructure together. I think he's really been working.
Carl is
Carl Cassio,
the chairperson.
the chairman. Yeah, Carl is the chairman.
They don't know.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
If I wanted to join, I wouldn't know how to join that REC.
Yep.
I don't know who's on the REC except you mentioned names, but let's say for the next meeting, if you can give the Hilda, let's say, a list of everybody, the way to contact them, where you're located, what's your phone number, what's your email address. Otherwise, you're talking to us that's above your heads. I don't know where any of these people are. How can I join you?
Shoot me an email and I'll send you an application. I'll give you all the information.
Yeah, but you have everybody else here, so do you have cards for everybody?
I do. If anybody wants one. There you go. That's good. Yep. Anybody else? Anybody else? There you go. Yeah, those are good too. That's for registering to vote and changing your voter registration if you'd like. These are my business cards. So if you call me or text me or email me, whatever, let me know your name. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because I think I need to help clarify who we are. And this is not going to work for long. If somebody could put batteries in that, schnorr. The batteries are on that. And that put batteries in the other one because it was dying. Let me explain something about what we call the REC. Those are abbreviations for the Republican Executive Committee of Palm Beach County. The county is huge. It's huge. It runs from the border of Broward all the way up. I don't even know how far it goes to Jupiter. That's not the planet, by the way.
And west.
Far.
And west.
And
West. Goes west.
North and west, of course. Tampa is on the west. That's called Gulf of America. Remember? Gulf of America. Tampa's on the Gulf of America. I have to say it a couple of times to get used to it. Anyway, so I happen to be a member, and we are called, when you become a member of a precinct, or an elected member, you are called a state committee woman. Can you tell? I'm wearing a skirt. Or a state committee man. That's your official title. You are an elected person. The minute you apply, you are considered for election by everyone who is there. And the executive committee you already identified, and Carl is our new president, and you are the new vice chair. So I am a committee woman. The fact is, I was one of those in Brooklyn. I was that also. So in order to, I think you're going to explain how they become a committee woman, committeeman, because you have to apply. So I just wanted to clarify that structure. And we meet together once a month, maybe. He's going to tell you. Okay? I just thought I'd help there because we all had to go through a process of becoming an elected committee woman or a committee man, and then you are part of that large group of the Republican Executive Committee. And you're explaining the function really well.
So like Hilda was saying, if you want to apply to get involved, you fill out the application. Your signature needs to be notarized. You need to bring the application either to your first meeting or you need to take it directly to headquarters, which is up on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard. And then you have to attend 2 meetings, and on your second meeting, you're voted in. unless for some odd reason the committee decides to not vote you in, which very, very, very rarely happens. Now, there are only so many spots in each precinct, so every once in a while, there might be a situation where you're applying to be the precinct committee man or committee woman in your precinct, and they find that, oh, your precinct is full, but there is a way for you to adopt like a neighboring precinct in that situation. So, like Hilda was saying, we have the general REC meeting. In an election year, it's every month. It's typically the second Wednesday of the month. And in a non-election year, it's every other month, same thing, Wednesday. So since we have municipals in March, we're having them every month leading up to municipals, and then we're switching to that every other month schedule. So we do have regional meetings as well, and then there's events throughout the year. There's volunteer opportunities, but it's really a really great group of people. You get to know a lot of people that are very like-minded and politically intelligent people. I mean, these are people that, you know, when you think about all the people that you know out there that don't pay attention to politics, I mean, you all do because you're in this club. You're going to get along well with these people because everybody in the room is paying attention politically and wants to be involved. So one of the things we need to do to raise the money to make these goals happen is hold fundraisers. This year we decided kind of last minute to throw an inaugural watch party fundraiser. And it was a great idea, and it kind of came kind of late because we got elected in December, and then we had the holidays, and the idea was thrown out there to have an inaugural watch party at the National Croquet Center up in West Palm, where we could get a bunch of people together and watch the inauguration because not everybody can afford or wants to go to DC, and you know, it's funny as at first when the idea was brought up, they were like, you know, maybe we can have a cocktail party in the evening. And I'm a Buckeye fan, so I was like, we're not doing that because it's the national championship that night. That was before I knew we would go. But anyway, so we got a group of people together. We threw this thing together, and it turned out really, really well. I mean, for only having 2 weeks to get people to come together and throw this party together, we had 3 really big screen TVs. It was catered. It was really nice. It was a lot of fun. And we ended up making a little bit of money. It wasn't a ton, but we netted some money. And so now we know 4 years from now, if we have another Republican elected, we've been through the drill. We know we can start planning in November, and we can do a great job with that. The big one is coming up, and that's Lincoln Day. I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of it. It is going to be April 11th. And tickets are on sale now, and it's going to be at Mar-a-Lago. It's a big to-do. It's a really, really cool event. It's expensive, so if you're going to do it, you know, it's one of those things you just say, oh, I'm just going to do this. And we do have a discount, like a discounted ticket price for REC members this year. And then later on this year, we'll be having a golf outing, Lobster Fest, which is something that we've had several years. And then we're looking to throw some lower-priced luncheons. That sounds great. You're going to be on the committee to get it going?
I'm not cooking them, but I'll find some.
All right, that sounds good.
Stephanie.
So we're also looking to have some kind of lower price, just chill events where people can get together, have a cookout, cornhole, you know, pizza, you know, maybe a happy hour. We were talking about having some luncheons where we invite like a great speaker and everybody, you know, has lunch and just gets to know each other a little bit better. So we're really trying to make it, you know, functional, purposeful, intentional to raise money and to have a focused goal, but have everybody get along and get to know each other and have a real sense of fellowship and community. Anybody have any questions so far? Bill? You just fixing your hair?
Well, I was going to ask about this director you're talking about?
Correct.
I didn't want to get you off track.
No, go for it.
What does the executive director do? Are they elected? And give me an idea of who we want for that position.
Right now, no, we don't know for sure. We've reached out to the two former executive directors that the REC had in years past, and we're trying to set up a lunch with a couple of these gentlemen to find out, what exactly did you do? And from what I understand, having the executive director in place was extremely effective. And so when it came time for campaigns and stuff, they were able to keep everything going. And so basically what it is it's a hired position. It would be a real hiring process where we seek out a really qualified candidate to do that. They would be paid a salary. They would have to have a good resume, and they would be interviewed. And then I don't know for sure what that final process would be, whether it would just be put before the board for approval or whether it would be put before the whole committee. That's a Carl question. I don't know the answer to that just yet. But I would imagine it would be one of those two processes as the final step before hiring.
Are they the day-to-day?
Stop.
Sorry? Yeah, I think, are they the day-to-day,
Is the executive director the day-to-day operator for the REC?
Yes. Yeah, they basically would be full-time running the office, running the whole thing.
Okay, because they had one down in Broward and they recently had to dispose of that position. And I don't know if it's due to budgeting because they're not drawing the same income that we do here in Palm Beach County, but their effectiveness of that person was relieved of duty for whatever reason. Now, it could be politics,
Right.
obviously,
Right.
or maybe effectiveness.
Yeah. So I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. From what I've heard, his name's Scott Hanaic. I forget how to pronounce his last name, but he was Rick Scott's. He worked on Rick Scott's campaign, like the whole coast of Florida. He was one of our former executive directors, and then there's another gentleman named, I believe, Scott Maxwell, who was an executive director, and then he went on to like Lake Worth City Commission, I believe. So these guys that had these positions ended up taking a better opportunity. And from what I heard, and don't quote me because I'm not 100% sure, but when the last one left, this was under Mike Barnett, and they decided to not fill it to save money. And from what I understand, Jane became the office manager, and she was kind of paid a part-time salary and that sort of thing. And it's just, now you can kind of tell the office needs more help. They need somebody that's kind of in there full-time running things. Jane is Jane's doing a great job, but she's got a lot going on. And she's got one paid employee. She's got a couple volunteers. Their availability and stuff is kind of, on and off. We did just hire an events coordinator. So Dana LaChance Whitman is going to be in the office full-time Monday through Friday, just taking all the incoming stuff for Lincoln Day because it's such a monster. Like, somebody has to be there all the time. But that executive director would be basically overseeing all operations in the office. And then when it comes time for campaigns, you've got somebody that's experienced and is able to coordinate everybody that's being paid. So they're waking up every day, going to work, being paid to make sure that all the ship is running every single day.
No, I think it's.
I think it's a great idea because we have a lot of scattered ideas and thoughts and signs, groups, so many, I've never really, except for one time when I first started the REC, there's so many groups that spread out. Now, the last 3 years have been, we just go out and do our own thing, basically, and nobody knows where to get signs. They got victory centers run by PACs. They got people running in every different direction, and it'd be a great idea to kind of centralize in this case, especially during campaign season, because that's herding cats that whole time. I'm interested in the process, and that's why I was inquiring about it.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it.
Now, I've heard, somebody called me last night and they said Tom Vaughn was one of the candidates running for that position, and I wasn't sure if this was true, but now you're telling me these, Scott and the other fellow are somebody you're looking at.
No, they both held the position prior in the past. So what we're doing is we're looking to set up a meeting with them to get some insight on what did you do day to day? Like what should we be looking for in the proper candidate for this position? This is a hired position. We are not even going down this road until after Lincoln Day, because we need to raise enough funds to feel comfortable to go down that road. I can just tell you, Tom Vaughn reached out to me and asked about that position, and I just told him we're not doing anything until after Lincoln Day.
Could I get some context for everybody?
Sure.
How many people are in Palm Beach County?
I mean, people. I think we're at we're well over 1.6 million residents.
So we're talking about a huge county with a lot of people, and the potential that every one of them are going to be involved in some sort of an election. I'm not sure what the figure was for this past election, but it was pretty high, was it not?
Absolutely, especially
Yeah.
for a presidential general. Yeah.
Well, it usually is more for
Right.
that. And so in order to think about a county that is that huge, and how do you access every little corner to involve people in a political process? And I don't use it as a dirty word. I think that it is something that if we want progress, or we want to have a say in what our future is, we have to be involved. And that's quite a huge population to energize and embolden and bring along. But I think first we have to grow the REC.
Absolutely.
I think that has to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, go ahead, John. You want?
Along those lines of numbers and what we're up against, this is something I've always been curious about. Okay, so 900 precincts, 2 committee men, women per precinct, 1,800. We have 250 now. What are we up against? Is it the DEC, the Democratic Executive Committee? What do they have? Does anybody know those numbers? Okay, because I think that would be a good thing. That would give us a goal to say, listen, this is what we're up against, and this is what we need to build ourselves up to meet the challenge. That's the challenge, I think. Anyway, thank you.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I worry less about the other group than worrying about myself and us. I think if we just worry about ourselves and what we have to accomplish, then you're not confused about your direction. And that's, that to me is where we should be heading, and helping each other to really grow the REC. I think it was as high as over 300.
At one point, I think
Yes,
it was. Yeah.
yes, and not so long ago. So that has to do with the new group in charge, and thinking about why that was and what has to change for it to continue as a strong REC. The people who are there are obviously very committed to the Republican Party, not anything else, They're not committed. Anyway.
Well, yeah, and I think anybody who was involved in the last 2 years, and people may have their different opinions as to what happened, but there was a rift, and there was some change, and you know what, change happens, and change is not always easy, and sometimes it's not good at all at first. But I feel personally, and I think a lot of people have the feeling that we're on the other side of that. And there were some things that happened, and some people had to do certain things a certain way, and sometimes that's necessary. It's like It's kind of like Donald Trump being the first guy to like break the seal on, you know, the politics as usual in Washington. I mean, when he first popped in there, he was hated. Now look, people are kind of going along with what he's doing. He's passing executive order after executive order and talking about eliminating the income tax. And unless you're watching MSNBC, most people are kind of like, yeah, this is a good idea. We should probably do this. But you know, the one thing to consider is Palm Beach County. It's one of the largest landmass counties in the United States. I think it's the largest one in Florida. But the amount of money that is in Palm Beach County, I mean, some serious mega donors. And, you know, all we have to do, and we are actively seeking, and we have people that are going to be introducing us to some of these individuals. We have to, you know, these are people that write $1 million checks to like Kerry Lake in Arizona, but they don't understand that the battle is right here. You live in Palm Beach County, and if you have a county commission that's got a $9 billion budget and nobody knows what they're really spending all that money on, or if you've got a woke school board, or if you've got, you know, whatever, if you've got a corrupt sheriff or a corrupt, you know, somebody in some other position, your money is more effective here because that actually affects your life more than what's happening across the United States. And so we've got to do a better job at convincing these people that have the ability to help us to keep your money at home, because this is where the fight is for everybody that lives here.
Yeah, and they have to remember.
By the way, quick fact check. We're number 2. Collier is the largest.
Nice, thank you.
Okay, good work.
Where is that? Where's Collier? Where is Collier?
Beats the poop out of me on the West Coast. It's right below Hendry. Does that help? And just north of Monroe.
I was going to say, we didn't really fund the commission elections very good in the last election, and I think that had a lot to do with how come we got swept out of the Palm Beach County Commission. Also, we could have used more money for our Congress election for Joe, and I think the other guy was pretty well funded, but we could have used more money for him also.
Yeah, no, you know, and Joe won Palm Beach County
Right.
here, but he didn't win Broward. He didn't win Broward, and I had a good phone conversation with his campaign manager, Sean. Sean's a great guy, and he's an REC member, and he kind of told me of the timeline that they were on and how he had to spend most of his money during the primary, which again, I think, you know, we only have so much power over who decides to run for certain seats. But when we know we've got good candidates that are all want to line up for the same position, you know, we can at least have some conversation with them saying, listen, why don't you run for this and you run for this, and you know, so we can actually win some races. And I think Joe was up against the clock. He didn't quite have enough time to raise the money he needed to beat his opponent. But I think he's gearing up to run again, and I think he's a fantastic candidate. And I hope nobody runs against him. I hope other Republicans let him do it, because he won a 6-way primary last time, and he's a strong candidate, and he's got strong ties in the Jewish community. I think he's a fantastic candidate.
Well, beyond the fact that he was a fantastic candidate, he did it in 6 months.
Yeah.
Sorry, 6 months.
Right.
He didn't decide to run until it was the last minute to file. And he ran for 6 months, and lost by 4.25%. He did better than some of the other candidates in other races that had been running for more than 2 years. And that's something that has to be fixed too. I just want to tell a little story, if I may.
Absolutely.
And this is a story as a Democrat. Don't wince. In order to run in Brooklyn, where I was active, you had to have permission to run from the county chairman. I'm not saying anything out of school. because that was understood. It was understood. It was the way in which you can handle races. Not that there weren't more than one candidate, and even that he had to say was okay. But what we have is really not tenable. When you have 6 or 7 people spending a lot of money, how do you wind up being able to succeed?
And they're all
It's
good
miraculous.
candidates. And they're all good candidates.
That's true. So that has to be thought about, and what you just said now is finding another slot.
Right.
Somewhere else, because if they're that enthusiastic, we need to support that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, obviously you can't, some people, they're going to do what they want to do, and
You can't stop them.
no, you can't. And candidates are going to run their campaigns the way they want to run their campaigns. We could have conversations with people until we're blue in the face, and they're going to decide to do what they want to do. But I've had a couple lunches with Ron Howard. I don't know if any of you know him. I know all the REC members do. He's a former county commissioner. He's originally from Philadelphia area, and he talks about how they have a strong party system. It sounds like New York does too, where they
I have no idea.
yeah, like where your chairman has a lot of power over what you do, and Florida's not that way. We're very. It seems like you're more of a facilitator, but you allow the candidates to do what they're going to do. I've had some conversations. I had a lunch with Dan Franzese, me and Carl and Dan and a friend of his had lunch, and he talked about how you can still act as a strong chairman. You just have to go about doing things a certain way. So, it is what it is. It's people. Politics is people, just like business is people. Do you have the ability to deal with somebody and convince them what the best thing for them and what the best thing for the party is? And sometimes that's a fine line, and you got to be able to, not overstep your bounds, but have those conversations, I think.
And there were
Hello.
there were county positions that nobody ran against the Democrat on, that some of the people had run for Congress. We had 6 or 7. If they had switched and run for, it was one, like the attorney, we had somebody good. I wish she had won, but there was other things that were open. I was happy to see somebody running for supervisor election, even though, and I thought that was good that he had switched to run for that, even though he didn't win. So we have to get people to run, and also they shouldn't disappear after they lose the primary.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's property appraiser and was it tax collector? So Ann Gannon and Dorothy Jacks. We did have somebody that was interested in running against Dorothy Jacks, and somebody basically told her that, yeah, she's a Democrat, but she's easy for us to get along with. We know how to deal with her. Unfortunately, that's kind of the reality in some of the political world, that, people that are in position, they don't want the apple cart upset because they don't want their apple cart upset. So, sometimes somebody says, well, I think I would be really good at this. I want to run for this. And sometimes the reality is, look, this person's got $1 million in their PAC. They've been in this position for, can you raise that kind of money? Can you run that kind of race? So that's one side of it. That's one side of it. But then the other side of it is, and I think there's some Democrats and Republicans that do this, is it's kind of a get along to go along club. They, as long as they've got a Democrat that they can get along with, and they know they're going to scratch their back when it's time to sign a bill, and they're going to scratch their back, they don't want to upset that. And so the way I look at it, the REC is kind of like the eyes and ears of that. Like, we're supposed to be looking out for that, and we're supposed to call that out when we see it. And so that's really kind of what we're doing right now, actively, quite honestly.
If you want to make more gains,
Stop.
I'll talk loud. If you want to make more gains then what you have to do is, you said you're not gonna do anything about a director until after Lincoln Day, understood. But if you don't get a good director, you're gonna stay exactly where you are. You're gonna win here, you're gonna win there, and then, as this gentleman said over here, you have no candidates running, and 6 running against this congressman over here. I'm from New York, I'm also from Ohio. In New York, there's a chairman in every single borough. Nobody breathes unless the chairman of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party says you can do it. And in every single county in New York, it's the same way. Here, I don't even know who the chairman is. I didn't know who the chairman was in the election. Nobody does. That's why I said, give me your card. And unless you're going to get a man who's going to be out there, going to be in the papers, saying anything.
Or a woman.
Yeah, not, or a woman.
Right.
Or a woman.
Yeah.
You're not going to win. You're just going to stay exactly where you are, hit and miss. Yes, we made a lot of hits, but you could make a lot more. Otherwise, you're going to just stay where you are. You must get a good director.
I agree, and Semper Fi and go Bucks, by the way. What part of Ohio are you from?
Cleveland.
I'm from Columbus. Right.
Cuyahoga County.
What was your MOS in the Marine Corps?
Who's from Pittsburgh?
I was on Air Force One.
No kidding. That's pretty awesome. I was a tow gunner. So those don't exist anymore, but I was in the 90s. But no, what you're saying is absolutely 100% true. We do need a strong director. We need to make sure it's going to be somebody who's knows what they're doing, not just, hey, you're a member and you want the job. This is going to be a real hiring process. This is going to be a real hiring process. Somebody that we know is going to wake up every day, focused, going after it, working hard.
Just a hint. The president lives not too far away from here. Maybe he can recommend somebody to you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure it's somebody from that campaign or, yeah.
Somebody from his campaign.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to go searching for him, and the newspapers or however you're going to do it. Mr. Trump knows everybody.
Yeah.
He can give you somebody who'll probably do the job for nothing. Just that his county, where he lives, goes all Republican.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. No, that's great. Great advice. I appreciate it. So that's about it. If you want to join the REC or if you just want to come as a guest, I totally would love to have you. We totally recommend you come check it out. And do not forget to get out for your municipal elections in March. Do you guys have people that run in this?
No.
No?
Next
Okay.
question for unincorporated was to ask them was, how
Mike.
are you going to?
Was how all of you can help. We've had some very active people during the last couple of campaigns in every way, but it takes more than a couple of people. So the question you're going to ask them is, how will they help you?
Yeah, so how do you want to get involved? Do you want to do more than what you're doing now? Does anybody have any questions about how you can get involved and how you can help? Go for
Okay.
it. What's your name?
Lynn. Oh, I think that was
When 5-year-olds join a soccer and they want to play soccer, they are not going to play the game together unless they know each other. They're not going to play. They're not going to kick the ball to the next person. You have to know each other first. And the first thing you talked about was this thing, and I know it's not as important as all the candidates and your chairman. I watched the elections by myself. I had no one to watch it with, and I said, where the hell is the Republican Party? How come I couldn't go somewhere and have an inaugural party? I wanted that so badly. And I think you're right. I don't even know the people in this room, let alone anywhere else. So I think getting to know each other is the first step.
Absolutely.
Lynn, you know me and I know you.
Well, I met you a couple months ago, yes.
Yeah, that's actually been a little bit of a problem inside the REC that we're trying to fix. Is there's been a tendency of people to go to the REC meetings. The meeting would kind of go on forever, and everybody would get out of there, and you'd have your cliques and stuff. But that's super important. We need to get everybody that's involved to get to know one another and respect one another, because none of us are going to agree 100% on everything. one person might be more MAGA than the other person, and one person, whatever. You might have disagreements on, certain policies or whatever, but everybody that's involved at this level cares about this country, cares about what's going on in the world, and wants to be involved. And if we get to know one another a little bit better, people are going to care about the person next to them, and they're going to work harder for them.
Okay, I have an answer for you.
Okay.
How many have, you've been at our meetings, and we've had the director of South Region speak to us. South Region means that it's a smaller group, it's more intimate, it's about as large as this with a few more people, and we get to know each other that way. Where there are 3 regions in Palm Beach County. Ours is probably the biggest, Region 5, and it's identified as a school board area. So Region 5 is School Board 5. And we have very good meetings. Now we have Brian Stenberg, who is the new director. It went very well. It's the second Tuesday of every month.
Sean at the Civic Center?
This is at the Civic Center, but it's not Sean.
Okay.
Sean's is a Republican club.
That's the only one I know of.
Yeah, no, this is at the Civic Center. It includes a lot of REC members. I am one. Anna is one. Is there anyone else? Yes, Bill, Jen, John. So we, and Shmuel right here, we are members of that group, but anyone who wants to come is invited.
See, I'd like to go to that.
Very good. So put it on your calendar. The second Tuesday of it's every month, I believe.
So, yeah, just to clarify something on that, is when they created the regions, and when they went away from having the REC meeting every month in the election year, the idea was to have the REC general meeting where everybody gets together, and then in the off month, you had your regional meetings. And that's how that was going for a minute, and now I think South Region started doing it monthly. We are going to get back to it being on the off months. So just because people are busy, people have lives, people have other clubs they belong to, and we want to throw out other things for people to do, like luncheons and stuff like that. So we are going to eventually get back to where, like, if it's an election year, it's off, or in the off year, it's off election year, it's every other.
You and I are going to have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
We're in for it.
So when is the meeting? Is it?
So I don't know the South Region schedule meeting. You're saying right now it's for the first Tuesday of every month right now? Second Tuesday of every month. So, but here's the thing, and this is just me. The general REC meeting is the second Wednesday of every month. So I don't know who wants to go to the regional meeting on Tuesday and the general meeting on Wednesday.
I didn't like it.
But hey, did you say you don't like it or you do?
I didn't like that.
I mean, to me, I would be like, wait a minute, I've got stuff to do. But I mean, some people might like that. My opinion is that it should not be butting up against the general meeting. That's my opinion.
What time is the meeting?
It starts at 7.
Evening.
Evening. Yeah, you know what? That's adjustable. But I am someone who believes that when you have smaller gatherings, and when you're talking about 250, 800 people, 918, I mean, who are you going to get to know? The person who goes through the border? I mean, that doesn't happen. So you need this smaller group to really investigate, to look into, to learn. And you can do that. And we had a wonderful meeting, which you probably couldn't do at an REC general meeting. We had, what did I call it? Role playing. A candidate with a person that they meet. We had role playing. And it was something that I did with our own group, with the club group. We had workshops on role-playing, and the candidates at the time who were running were running, and we had some of our participants asking them and talking to them, and then evaluating how they were responding to a stranger and talking. So a lot can be done in smaller groups that complement what it is we're supposed to be doing with elections and with the REC. And this time we had refreshments.
That's good. John, did you have something?
Yeah, question. What we've been seeing, and I hope we continue to see in the next 4 years.
And this is going to lead up to my question. What we've been seeing previously, and hopefully in the next 4 years, NPAs and even Democrats switching parties and coming over to our side. So yeah, and so having said that, and we're wanting to grow our family, so to speak, is it still a bylaw, still a rule that you have to have been a registered Republican for 1 year prior to joining the REC?
Correct. And now, unless you say you just moved here from another state and you're a registered Republican in the other state, then you don't have to wait that year. But I can tell you, I've had people switch. I've had lunch. I just literally had a guy switch today. Good friend of mine. I would have guessed he was an NPA or an independent, but he totally agrees with Trump. He totally understands like what's been going on, and his friend, they were business partners. His friend's a Republican, and he was like, you know what? He goes, I don't know. He said, I think that I registered in college, and I might still be a Democrat. And I pulled that card out, the QR code. I said, you better switch that before you come in and visit us. So he's going to switch. And I had a coffee with a young lady about a year ago, young Venezuelan lady, who later on I found out she's like my daughter's boyfriend's childhood friend. It was really weird, but we had coffee, and I was trying to get her to get involved because she had volunteered for another Republican's campaign a couple years ago. And we agreed on a ton. I mean, and she goes, you know what? I'm a registered Democrat. And I said, why? And she goes, I don't even know. She said, I was in college and they told me, and I gave her the card. I said, you need to switch. And she switched. So it's not that hard. I mean, there are people that they're not diehard Democrats. They just registered because they didn't know and somebody told them. There's independents that just don't want to pick a side, but now we have an opportunity to convince them. Now's the time to pick the side because we can see what's going on. So that's a great point because we need to get people to switch for sure.
And once they've switched, we are opening our arms and saying,
absolutely,
you'll have to wait a year, but you can still come to the meetings.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think there's. And people have to have a little bit of discernment. Now, the difference between somebody who switched their party to maintain power versus somebody who understands that their party is not doing right by them and decided to switch. I think those are two totally different things. We see politicians all the time that are like, well, you can't win as this and this, so I switched to this, and well, that is kind of. I mean, you kind of see through that. You know what I mean? But if you know that your party has failed you, if you're a Democrat and you know your party's failed you, and you know their ideology has gone too far left, there's a lot of people that are switching because of that. And I think that's a good thing. And the good thing that will probably come of it is the Democrat Party will probably eventually wake back up and become somewhat normal again, which would be healthy, I think, for politics in general. But
yeah, it's not what your country can do for you. Yes, what you can do for
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I mean,
not gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll take time. But anyway, I don't want to take up anybody else's time. I don't want to take any more of your time. I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you very much. And I do have my cards, so if anybody wants paperwork, I'd love to invite you to one of our meetings. Absolutely.
Don't go yet. Oh.
When is your next meeting?
February 12th.
Okay.
Lincoln's birthday.
Yeah.
Well, this is my turn to make a pitch
Okay.
to all of you
Thanks, Jason.
to become members of our club. How many are you members? I want to see every hand raised the next time. First of all, it allows me to communicate with you. I do that anyway. If you fill out the sign-in sheet, and I'm begging, please, print and your email, unless you're a doctor, I'll forgive you. Because I have to be able to read it in order to include your email on this list. I have about 200 more that I email personally about the meetings, and you get a little spiel from me and a little encouragement or whatever. And I have another message. You just got something where you can register to vote. In order to vote in the next election in this year, I don't know that we have a primary. We don't have one in our county, but in others, yes. But you should do it anyway. You have to register to vote every year now. It's not automatic. It's good for the entire year.
No, you're talking about requesting vote by mail.
To register, yes, request, I'm sorry. I meant, but she's shaking her head and I'm so smart. Yes, it's a vote by mail. You must do that every year now. It used to be that it could carry on beyond that. It's annual. Annual, you have to register annual, but now I think it's 2 years because we don't have an election this year. So when you're registering this year, it counts for next year, which is 2026, which when we do have some major primaries and elections. So we're electing Congress people and we're electing the local people. It's a big election. What? And the governor. We're going to have a new governor because he's timed out, right. So there are a couple of good candidates. I met one of them.
Yeah, no, that's who I said.
Yes, Byron Dobbs.
I think he's talking about it, at least from what I heard. I don't know if anything totally solid. I just heard.
Yes, no, I met him.
Yeah.
He was very happy to meet me because somebody said to him, "You need to know her because there are thousands of people in Century Village." I don't know if that's my badge of courage or whatever. Anyway,
We're trying to get him to speak at Lincoln Day, by the way. Just saying.
Okay, I'm going to try to get him here. We'll see who wins. Now you get him. You'll get him. He's running. Anyone running, he wants to see as many people as possible. What?
The Lincoln Day is Friday night, so.
I know, but it's not. You know, I'm not going to be attending Friday night, and the next night is Erev Pesach. So I have plenty to do before that.
Then look at the Jewish calendar.
Yeah,
Hey, can I chime in on that real quick? On the April 11th thing? So I did have a member of the REC who's Jewish, and when we put the email out, she emailed me and said, "Hey, I wish this would have been thought out a little bit better. It's the night before Passover. A lot of Jewish families will be traveling and this sort of thing." And she explained to me that she's one of the few observant Jews in the REC, and that she would not be doing anything on Friday night. And I said, let me look into it. I don't know if the date can be changed. I wasn't part of the scheduling. I wasn't trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I had no part in it. Apparently, once the contract is signed with Mar-a-Lago, you're pretty much stuck with the date, and it was signed a long time ago. I had another gentleman who's a friend of mine who moved down here from New York, Jewish guy who's very heavily involved in politics up there, and he actually just bought a house in West Del Rey, and he's looking for clubs down here, so I'll have to send him your way. But he said, hey, listen, he said, we're going to grab coffee, and I'm going to get you a Jewish calendar so you guys can plan things out a little bit better. And I said thank you because I mean I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I've only been here for a few years, so there's not a huge Jewish population up there. So we're not as in tune to all the Jewish holidays. And being in a leadership position in the Republican Party in Palm Beach County, we have to be. So we are working on that.
My name is Hilda Merwis. I'm an Orthodox Jewess, and I have several calendars for you.
Are you willing to explain all the holidays to me?
Listen, everything. You will get an education you didn't want.
All right, that sounds good.
One last thing that I have to say, and you know I never leave a meeting without looking at this Democrat right here. And thanking him, because he is so loyal and so wonderful. And I tell this story all the time, so I hope you're not bored by it. But he and I met when you sent out those drone things as this building was being constructed. And he says to me, because I had met him already, he says to me, what happened to the Republican Club? I said, I'm afraid that Max Deutsch, who was the president, is having a difficult time, and things just went by the way. Well, what's wrong with you? And so, here we are. And I always have to thank him that way, because he motivated me. And I've done a lot of things, I've chaired a lot of things, but he embarrassed me, actually. He said, well, I should have done it without someone telling me, But I'm so happy he did, because that made a difference. And we have this, he won't know this word. He's Jewish, but doesn't know a lot. We have this kesher. You know what kesher is? Connection. We have this connection.
How about our Brooklyn connection?
Brooklyn. There were so many parts. They're all moving parts, if you know what I mean. In any event, I want to thank you all for coming. I'm happy to see some people not from this area, the Sansones. Thank you for coming. And you're welcome to come here anytime. We have fun. This was a wonderful presentation from you. He's nice, you're right, Anna, he's nice to look at.
One thing about Fred, he has chutzpah, right?
Oh, he knows.
I know that one.
He has a beautiful newsletter. And someone said to me, and it was you, Elisa.
Yes, it was.
This is what keeps her informed. He has a newsletter here. It's really more than a letter. He publishes the Village Century, it's called, in Century Village. And we really are informed about all kinds of things. Some of them are not so pleasant. But they are wonderful to know about. So I thank you. I told you I would say this at the end. Are you happy?
Oh, I'm delighted.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Wait, next month, February 26th. No, February 25th is the fourth Tuesday in February. I'm going to issue all of you a calendar for all of the meetings. And I'm sorry. No. And I will not be here. I'm going to be traveling. Just to let you know, I'm going to be in Israel for 2.5 weeks. I have a wedding. I have grandchildren who are studying there. So I'm leaving it all to you in your hands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.